Hey, Coach. Kyle Nelson with Cornerstone Coaching Academy. I wanted to give you a little bit of a look into what we do and how we practice, how we organize our practices so that you know exactly what will be in these 10 practice plan series that we're producing and exactly what you can expect from them. So here's an outline of what I'll talk about. I'll give you the way that we set our practice expectations up for coaches and for players. Then I'll give you some goals of practice, and then we'll talk about it, and I'll show you how we create consistency within our practice. We do talk about with our assistant coaches about the expectations for practice, and part of this falls in the head coach as well because we need to know and communicate our objective ahead of time heading in. And sometimes this has been a little bit of a struggle for me personally because with coaching, with teaching, with having a family, with grading papers, and all those kinds of things, the 1 to 2 hours a night I was spending creating practice plans. I didn't necessarily, sometimes I would get them done like right before practice. I wouldn't have them done ahead of time, wouldn't be able to get them to our coaches. And it just wasn't the best way for us to do things. So obviously you want to have a short-term plan, which is the practice plan. Now the great thing is I'm just going to be able to tell my assistant coach, hey, look, we've got practice plan number 6 coming up today. Why don't you go ahead and take a look at it? They can go right into our Dropbox, grab it, take a look at it, and then they're ready for practice as well. The long-term plan used to be that skill sheet that I showed you in the last video, but that is all taken care of now. No more writing, remembering what did we do, cross-checking it with the practice plan. All I've got to do now is pull the next plan in the series because I know that everything is going to get covered. That no stone will be left unturned. I'm also going to make sure we set a good tempo to practice. And remember, it all starts with you, the head coach. You want to make sure that you have an enthusiasm about yourself in practice. And just by taking away some of your outside work, I think you'll even find that'll allow you to be a little bit more enthusiastic because you have a little bit more energy when you get to practice. So also make sure that we're there to coach. So one of my big pet peeves is when I see coaches standing off to the side while their players are doing something. And it doesn't happen often, but just make sure that you set that example for your players. Expectations of players. Obviously, we expect them to be coachable, try new things. We talk a lot with our guys about what it means to be coachable and what it means to listen and try to fit within a team concept. The third one is the really big one for us, and it's conditioning during practice. At the end of practices, we do not get everyone on the line and run 10 sprints. We don't put everyone on a foul pole and run 15 poles. We don't put everyone at home plate and run bases. And we don't do that. We condition during our practice. So there is a base running segment in there, but it is not a conditioning segment. It is base running. Our drills are fast paced. Our guys are expected to go very hard during our drills. Our guys are expected to go hard during base running. They're expected to run between stations. They're expected to go hard during their warm up, which you'll see in just a second has some conditioning components to it as well. So there really is no need for us to get everyone on the line after practice. I feel like it's one of those things that if a player knows that's coming at the end, then they're going to dog something in the middle. Because if you know that you've got to run, and I'm just throwing this out there, 10 suicides at the end of practice. Okay, guess what? When I'm doing a defensive drill, and I know this is a basketball comparison, but when I'm doing a defensive slide drill, I'm not going 100% because I know what's coming. And that's not going to be the case in this series. They're going to know that they can go hard all the time. They can get the most out of their practices, and it'll really benefit you and your program. So here's the components of the practices that we set up. First of all, we have a complete warm-up. It's a station-style warm-up. We warm up first with a baseball. Then we go into stations where we have a dynamic stretch. We have 2 agility segments. We have a shoulder program to help prevent injury, and we have a core rotation med ball program. And all those things are, they're warm-ups, they're movement preps, but they're also a little bit of conditioning so that they'll have better footwork in the game, so they'll be able to rotate better, their core stays stable, and so their arms will stay healthy throughout the season. Right after our warm-up, we go into base running. The reason we do it here is because if we put it at the end, it's viewed as conditioning. Right here, it's a drill. It's something we're doing to get better at the game. It's always in the It's in the context of base running. We are working on this specifically. After that, then we go into throwing. We have a 10 to 15 minute throwing program that we have. Pitchers have their very specific daily dozen, which you'll get in the plan. And then infielders and outfielders and catchers, they also have their own program where they get a little bit of choice with what they do, but they certainly do get to work to get better during the segment. This is not just throwing to get loose and the coaches go sit in the dugout and talk about what they're going to be doing on the weekend. This is coaches monitoring players very closely so that this is a very productive time for us. I had an old coach that told me that teams that play catch well will play defense well. And then we never really did very much playing catch. We'd play 2 minutes of catch, go in and hit. Our program is 10 to 15 minutes long, and it's going to make your players better. Next component, we create some kind of competition. This sometimes comes right after throwing. Sometimes it comes a little bit later on. We're going to either do a challenge. We're going to do a tactical game. We're going to do something that gets players competitive and shows them what it's going to be like in a game. We also have fast-paced situational infields, which may be our fast-paced PFP. It may be our pregame infield, outfield. It may be our throwing sequences, something along those lines. It's going to get our players moving quickly. It's going to get them up-tempo, and it's going to get them better. A lot of times then we'll go into our individual position work. We might split the individual position work where infielders are working with a coach for individual defense, and another group is hitting stations with the cage. That just tends to work a little bit better for our facility. Hopefully you're more fortunate. You have a little bit bigger facility, more than one batting cage, but we only have one. So that splitting it this way tends to work the best for us. Then we go into a team defensive segment. You should really work some aspect of team defense every day, whether it's bunt defense, first and third, cuts and relays, squeeze, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's pickoffs, maybe it's winning run on third. Some aspect of team defense should be worked every day so that when you get into the game, you see this in the game. It hasn't been 5 weeks. Like I said, like I told you guys before, that is my reason for creating these practice plans, is so that it hasn't been 6 weeks since we've worked on a first and third walk-off, so that it hasn't been since the beginning of the year where we've worked on defending squeezes. Okay, so that's I think one of the great benefits of this series is that you're going to get your team defense rotation, and you guys are going to stay fresh at all these things throughout your season. If we do an on-field BP or a big batting practice segment or a big hitting station segment, we do this last because we know that kids like it. We know that even if they're a little bit drained, they're going to give their absolute best effort in batting practice. And our batting practice, even when we take it on the field, doesn't look like one guy hitting and 23 guys standing around. We have extra bunting stations set up. We have extra hitting stations set up. We have guys taking ground balls. We have outfielders getting live reads off the bat. And so that's really one of the benefits to the on-field batting practice, which will be included in one of the practice plans. And obviously, the way it's set up, I think you can include it in more if you choose, because you do get lots of reps. It's just not a situational thing, and it does take quite a bit of time depending on the size of your team. Okay, so here's what our Cornerstone Practice Plan series will cover. It's going to cover every tactic, every technique, and situation your team needs. It's going to save you a ton of practice time. Like I said, it's going to save me 1 to 2 hours a night. That's extra time I get to spend with my family when I get home. That's me getting home quicker at night because I don't have to sit around and cross-check our previous practice plan with the skill sheet. I just come right home next day, pull the next one in the series, double check to make sure it's what I need, and I'm ready to roll. Then it's going to make sure everyone's involved. So sometimes you write a practice, it looks good on paper, you get there and you go, man, I've got 5 kids working and I've got 10 kids standing around doing nothing. Okay, these practices are going to be designed so that every kid is busy all the time. You're going to get the most out of a 2-hour practice that you can with 2 coaches. Okay, so just a refresher of what we're doing. Okay, we're going to have a plan, a short and long-term plan. We're going to be enthusiastic. We're going to create competition. Everyone's going to be involved, and we are going to have fun. So if you are interested, our 2016 practice plans are on pre-sale right now. Pre-sale orders will be taken until February 25th, and on February 26th, the price will go up. The plans will be delivered on the 26th to your inbox the evening of the 26th. So if you are interested, please click the button below and check out our pre-sale on our 2016 practice plan series.